Little time. All right. What's up, everybody? I got the OG in the house tonight. Joe Rod, how you doing?
What's up, man? What is up, everybody?
Yo, so we are 6 minutes overdue. In the chat boxes, let me know about it. But first of all, Joe, how are you? How's everything? Got to check in before we do any and talk any football. Tell me how is life going?
Everything's going really good, man. Cowboys, a bounce back game, so life
Hmm.
is good right now, right?
Joe, I'm doing good. Bounce back game is an understatement, Joe. That was really, you beat the hell out of the Vikings. And to me, it's one of those things. It's like, listen, this team can do this to you. They can get really, really high, really, really low. I had a great week, Joe, because the Vikings, we stomped them. Now, incoming game versus the Giants. And it'll be a lot that I'm looking for as far as body language, as far as how we respond. Joe, I guess we'll get right into it because we don't want to keep the people on, but we do want to kind of preview this game. Joe, just to kind of recap and get your thoughts, because I haven't had you on the channel in a while. What was your biggest surprise from the Vikings game?
The biggest surprise was how clean the game was. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They all three phases of the game. Special teams, offense, defense. The play calling was pretty good for 4 whole quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's the best game they've played in a very long time. It might be the best game they've played under Mike McCarthy with Dak Prescott. So, very impressive win over a team that had a really good record. You know what I mean? So, and then the whole issue was, could Dak win these big games on the road? This was a big game. He answered the bell. So, it's good, man. It's a good place to be right now.
Joe, you said something about play calling. I thought that this was one of Kellen Moore's better games. I thought that he was dialed in. You're right, King Marquise. Let's make sure that we like, share, subscribe. Let's everybody pound the like button. We got Joe Rod in the building. I think that Kellen Moore is really starting to get in his groove with the run, with the pass, and getting guys. Even, I love the orbit motion when they orbit the ball, get the ball quick to CD. Little things like that to me are a sign that he really has a good understanding of this personnel. Obviously, the Tony and Zeke duo it's fun to see people go back and forth, but you need both. And you're gonna need Zeke in these cold weather games. They come to Washington. They come up here soon. You're gonna need Zeke to lean on defenses late. So I think that's really, really dope. Joe, we have a big game versus the Giants tomorrow. The Giants are 7-3. Does this game scare you at all? Does this game have a? We'll talk about their offense and their defense, but overall, does anything about this game scare you?
Just the fact that we're on a losing streak on Thanksgiving. We haven't won like in 5 years or something like this. So, it's they got to win. They got to win this game. Is big because if you lose, you're then back to being in third place possibly, and then you got the Commanders kind of coming on strong here. So you kind of need to get yourself in position within the division. So a win here is crucial. I think it's a must win again this week.
Totally. And then you get that long break, and then who do we have after the Giants? Joe.
We get the Colts next. We have 3 home games in a row, so you can really run the table here and put 3 more wins on top of the 7 that we have right now. So
The Colts on top of the Colts, who, by the way, um, really probably should have beat Philly had Matt Ryan not forgotten how to play quarterback and not been so old. But yeah, we got the Jags, the Colts, and then this week we have the Giants. Okay, let's get into the Giants, Joe. And watching film against the Lions, I think the Lions did a really good job of choking the run and just saying, let's make Daniel Jones a passer. Uh, let's let him We're not going to let him get off in the run game because he likes to do that. He likes to, show pass, and then he'll just kind of scamper around. And this receiving core is just, for lack of a better word, just doesn't scare anybody. It kind of reminds me of, before Dallas got Amari Cooper, just couldn't get just couldn't get any separation. Joe, offensively, what would be your game plan to deal with the Giants on Thanksgiving Day?
The plan, I think you just got to get in Daniel Jones' face. You know that their offensive line is beat up, but now we're getting
Mhm.
news that there's some sort of, I don't know, virus hitting the Cowboys D line. So is that going to offset that? I was hoping we could really crush these guys, and I think we still will. And just play another clean game, and it should take care of itself. You know what I mean? So, um, not really worried about Daniel Jones getting us in the air. Obviously, they do have Saquon. You do need to have another good, solid game playing the run defense because I think a lot of us were kind of worried about, oh, Dalvin Cook, Madison, maybe they're going to jack us up. They took care of business, right? So, if they can do that again here with Saquon, I think we'll be in good shape.
I think that one of the hmm, I think one of the more interesting things was when you heard Micah say, and you heard some of these D linemen say that you need to, you have to earn the right to rush the passer, right? And then you hear Micah say, we got punch, punch, punch. I called Mike out on my channel. And I said, these guys have to play more stout run defense. I think their run defense is a will thing. That's about being stout in your run fit. That's about running to the ball. That's about squeezing on tackles. And, Saquon Barkley, even against an 8-man front, I think that he will, you know, break tackles if you're not stout, if you don't wrap up, if you don't come to balance. He has great feet. So I think that what they did against Dalvin Cook, I think the game plan really needs to be the same. And you're really dealing with a lesser receiving core in the Giants with, I mean, who is, I know Slayton is over there. I can't, Richie James, like who, chat box, who's the who in the Giants receiving core? Because I'll be honest, I know the league well, and I literally have no idea who plays receiver for the Giants. I know they gave um my guy from Detroit a lot of money, but even him,
Mhm.
he hasn't shown up. And I think that the big thing is you can't let play action shots or stuff like that turn into long runs with Daniel Jones, because that's what he wants to do, to me, Joe. Now the biggest and the biggest news is Evan Neal's out. How many sacks tomorrow, Joe? Let's just get right into it. How many times will the Cowboys be able to pressure the quarterback tomorrow?
It's gonna be a long day. As long as we don't get a surprise deactivation due to illness, you know what I mean. I think it's gonna be a long day. Even with Evan Neal in there, we had him
Yeah,
on
he was
tape.
bad.
He
Yeah,
looked like the dude from Alabama that the Raiders drafted. He looked terrible, bro.
yeah,
Like
he
he
did.
didn't look like he should have been a top pick. You know, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready to tear them apart, and we should have at least another minimum 6 sack game. I think in this game.
So Lemieux is out. Shane Lemieux is out. Evan Neal didn't make the trip, and then apparently their center, Feliciano, didn't make the trip. So it's going to be tough playing with a preseason whole line against our defensive line.
Yeah,
They run the ball, but I mean, even to get push, it's going to be really, really tough. Danny Savage is saying that he told us that Evan Neal sucked. I
yeah.
think Joe was on top of that too.
That
That
was
he
that was
didn't.
the guy.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that Joe was on top of it. He doesn't really like Alabama tackles. Um,
They don't translate. They just don't translate. I don't know what it is, but they just don't. And it'll happen again and again. And GMs don't ever learn, bro.
yeah, it's like if you want old lineman, you better go to Notre Dame. Joe's team, by the way. Okay, Joe, let's look at this defense. This defense gives up a lot in the run game. Pass defense isn't great. I mean, excuse me, isn't bad. But then they lose to Dory Jackson. Joe, game plan wise, do we sit on the ball, pound their face in, or do we take whole shots, pass the ball all over the yard? What do you want to do?
I really would like to see if they could replicate what they did last week. You know what I mean? See if they can
Right.
stop Tony Pollard. See if they can slow him down and have a good mixture of Ezekiel Elliott in there. Just continue to wear down their D line. This should open up the passing game. Dak Prescott excels in the play action. Let him do some boots, naked boots, rollouts, keep the ball and RPO action. I mean, I love how they really opened it up, bro. It looked like 2016 Cowboys. You know what I mean? It looked like we were just hitting them everywhere, and so I would like to see if we can do that. I don't want them to get cute and do change it up and this sorts of things. So go with what's working.
Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet seeing Jalen Smith on their roster, knowing that Dallas will probably be able to take advantage of Jalen Smith in the run game and in the passing game. And that's right. I just found out just now that Fabian Moreau was out, and Fabian Moreau isn't the best corner. Like
Yeah.
he was in, he was in the NFC East for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't really a guy. You know what I mean? Like he was pretty cool, but he wasn't really a guy. And then, like I said, Jalen Smith, I think that, the same thing that you kind of saw with Dak taking advantage of Hicks, I think that Jalen Smith has done some nice things for the Giants. Obviously, he's on their roster, but let's be honest. Can he really run with Tony Pollard? Probably not. Right, Joe? Probably not. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I think that'll be interesting. Okay, Joe. So we want to pound the ball. We want to get out of this game. We want to be physical. Absolutely. Joe, I got a few questions, guys, and this will be a quick one because, like I said, it's family time, but we wanted to do this live stream for you all. Pound the like button. Um, like, share, subscribe. We got Joe Rod on the channel, y'all. This is my guy. Joe, there's been a lot of talk, and I think because we're playing a lesser opponent, that Tyler Smith may go back to guard. I'm pretty sure that everybody in this chat box knows how I feel about Tyler Smith being at tackle, the way he's played, and continuing to let him grow. Joe, what are your thoughts on Tyler Smith going to guard?
I'm with you on this as well. I've said on my Twitter as well. I'm not a fan of it. You know what I mean? He's going to be the future. Just let him stay there. Continue to refine the craft there. You know what I mean? Um, oh, an 80% Tyron or whatever is better than Tyler right now. No, bro, he's not. You don't know if he's going to get up. The speed rush has been he can't handle the speed. I mean, I love Tyron. He's done everything really, really top notch player. But where he's at right now in 2022, he's just not the same player. And I just don't want to see any kind of experimental stuff right now. When you got to get these wins, you got to keep the cohesion, keep the running game balanced with your passing game. Why do you want to just let's see what happens? Let's see what happens. Why?
Yeah.
Why? I don't get it, but it's
No.
the Cowboys, man.
No,
So,
I can tell that Joe's very passionate about this, and likewise in mine. I think that we are because, me and Joe really dig into the draft. We're big on team building. A lot of people sit around and hate on Stephen Jones, but when you really look at it, when you really look at keeping Dorrance Armstrong over Randy Gregory, when you really look at drafting Tyler Smith, when you really look at drafting Sam Williams, when you really look at drafting Damone Clark and Micah Parsons, can we be mad at Stephen Jones? Chat box. Oh, and by the way, me and Joe sat on this channel and told you, let Tyler figure it out. And he's figured it out. But we're going to bring Tyron Smith. And because I can just see it now, you're going to end up playing San Francisco in the first round of the playoffs. I just have a feeling that's going to draw people. That's going to draw. I'm get ready. You're going to play that defensive line.
Yeah.
Do you really want Tyron Smith? Do you really want Tyron Smith going against that defensive line, Joey Bosa, and trying to move them off the point in the run game? Do you? Joe, what are people missing about continuity?
Well, the continuity is something, and this is where I feel like Jerry is doing the meddling because Mike McCarthy at the end of last year, that was the key. That was the word he kept saying at the end of the year press conference: continuity, continuity. Whether it was the D line with Randy and all these other guys, and then he talked about the offensive line continuity. Very important to get that figured out, and that's why they went out and got Tyler Smith here. They wanted to get this thing figured out and stop with the musical chairs. And this season, they've done a really good job with that. We really haven't had to do much musical chairs at all, but now they want to do musical chairs a little bit, and it's just not a good time to do it right now. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it's Jerry. Jerry's like, oh, we're talking him up, talking him up. Like, yeah, he's. We know what Tyron's done, but 2022 Tyron is not 2015, 2014 Tyron.
Yeah, yeah. For the life of me, Joe, I like what Jamal Porter's saying. It's a very, very bad matchup. But I think that Dallas has created. So one thing that happened when um, Kellen Moore, excuse me, when Cooper Rush had to play was Dallas had to commit to running the football. And what happened was I think it kind of gritted our team up a little bit more. And I think that could stand up. I do think what you're saying, Jamal Porter, that the San Fran would be a bad matchup for us because San Fran is just a physical team. But I think that by the time we play them, I think that we will be clicking and be able to trust them in certain ways. To Joe's point about the continuity part of things, I think that the fan in us and the Twitter, expert in so many of these people that, it's like it just, Tyron is this Hall of Famer and he is, and don't get me wrong. And he's just this, he's been here for so long. But if a guy can't get through training camp, he hasn't played in almost a year. He hasn't played football in almost a year. And if he just steps wrong and he falls down, why would we want to put him in a game with the highest stakes? These are the highest stakes now.
No.
And like, I think that Tyler Smith has been great at tackle. I don't think he's been good. I think he's been great. Now, has he been Charles Cross or some of the higher? Maybe not, but you could nitpick that, right, Joe? But I think he's been fine. Has there been a game this year that you said, man, we need a new tackle in there? There's been not one game.
Yeah.
So, like, tackles get beat. And I just don't think that Tyron Smith is going to come in and give you that much more. I don't. I could be wrong. Let's get to April's super chat, Joe. We'll take a few questions and then we'll get out of here on this holiday vibration of the huddle, the old school. If y'all have been with us, I feel McCarthy is preparing Kellen Moore for play calling mid-season for the playoff run. Kellen needs discipline. I trust McCarthy. That's why we got April, man. April, you're a moderator in my eyes. You are a GOAT. This is a beautiful, beautiful comment. I agree. I think that Mike McCarthy doesn't get enough credit for just how prepared his team has been. Their run schemes. If you think about it, Dallas wasn't under center this much last year. They weren't running at you this much last year. And I think that what you're saying is 100%. I also think that he's taught Kellen, be patient, take what they give you. It's okay to run the ball here. There's still some farce that Kellen has, and there's still some times where he tries some stuff where I'm like, but that's going to happen with any OC. I think that Kellen, these last 3 weeks, has really been locked in, and I want to give him credit for that with the balance. And he's letting this line do what they like to do, and that's be physical. So I agree with you, April, 100%. You got any thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, it's it's hard to know what's happening behind the scenes, but you definitely feel like he's improved, right, under McCarthy, and I think it's a good learning experience for him. He's going to learn a lot more under McCarthy than he would have under Linehan and Jason Garrett. So yeah, I think there could be something to that. McCarthy does put a lot of trust in his assistants. We've known that going all the way back to Green Bay. He delegates a lot of this to the assistants. So could see this for sure.
Yeah, to me, I just think that McCarthy. I think that you heard J. Ron come out and say it, and I think that so many people had just had it out from McCarthy after the first year. And it was like, dude, he self corrected well. He's been on top of just building this team's camaraderie. You could tell that they're playing for each other. You could tell that they're for each other. You could tell it's so refreshing to have a coach who doesn't get caught up in being too high or too low. And so the team is now performing not too high, too low. The Green Bay loss was heartbreaking because I think it was more so heartbreaking because this team is better than Green Bay 9 times out of 10. But a few things don't go your way, a couple goofy turnovers. But I think that they came back and showed you just who they are. Now, tomorrow, they need to show you even more or less who they are. Okay, Joe, a few more, and then we'll get out of here. I got one more thing for you. The big one in the room, OBJ. How much better I've stayed away from the Odell Beckham talk too much because I just until it happens, I don't. We've done that for years, being Cowboys content creators. Joe, it's Earl Thomas. It's you know just name somebody. Joe. It's all these Julio Jones. It's everybody. And fans go into a frenzy. But it's cool seeing the players flirt, quote unquote flirt, and flirt with the idea of having OBJ here. But let me ask you this. Joe, how much better does OBJ make this offense?
Oh, he elevates it to another level. You know what I mean? And I think that's what he did with the Rams. He just put a little cherry on the top of this offense, and that's what it would be, right? You're gonna need a little bit of ramp up time with him if the Cowboys do sign him. You know, get him in a football shape, right? So it's a little bit different than working the side with the bands and working cardio, as you know, Foots. So
Yeah.
you sign him supposedly maybe after this game here. This could be the OBJ Bowl. Giants are in the sweepstakes as well supposedly. So we'll see what comes of it. But man, if you put him in this offense, I mean now you're really you have the opportunity of stretching the field a little bit more. You know what I mean? And Odell is someone that can literally play any position at wide receiver. He can play him on the outside, inside, slot, wherever, and he's going to excel and demand multiple defenders on him, and that's going to open up things for everybody else. And I hope that they're able to come down with a deal with him.
Yeah, I think that you bring in some juice like that and somebody that you trust. I do believe that he takes this offense to another level. But that being said, I just don't want to get too high or too low. He's definitely, kind of like he's better player than Amari Cooper. Um, and so if you had a chance to bring that type of athlete in with what you have, now this would be there's always a high and a low to everything. Would that mess Kellen Moore up, Joe? Like, would he get too pass happy? Would he get too, oh, we got this. He's on this lesser corner. Let's get OBJ his touch. But nobody's talked about that. We'll be the first to talk about that here, Joe. How do you feel?
Yeah, definitely something you would have to guard against, right? But I think that since they're kind of discussing this within the organization, I think they already kind of have a plan in place. They're going to meet in person just to verify a couple things here with Odell. How does he envision himself in our scheme?
Mm-hmm.
We're not Cowboys are. You're going to play our scheme, so it's not. We're going to build around a guy, right? That's what they do. So
Yeah.
got to get with Odell and say, hey man, how are you going to fit in our scheme? What can you do? To get us going, give us that juice, like you said, Foots.
Yeah. Guys, this is Joe Rodriguez. I got one more for you, Joe. I know you got to hit it. Let me ask you this, Joe. Zeke, Tony. Obviously, we're a long ways away from the draft and all that type of stuff. Your plan for how we go about signing Tony and what would be the plan moving forward for our running back room in the near future?
I think
Joe, what would Joe's plan be?
my plan would be use a little bit of that money that you're going to save with letting Dalton Schultz walk off. You've got two young tight ends plus McEwen. I think you are okay passing the torch to those young guys. You're going
Yeah.
to save a lot of money there. With those savings, put some of that money towards whether you're going to franchise TP for a year, or if you want to give him another contract. And then with Zeke, the writing's on the wall. You're going to basically want to do like a D-Law type of deal. Can you can you please lower your your contract? And that sucks, right? Like nobody wants to ask somebody to lower, right? Like if somebody were to say, "Hey, put, do
Hey,
you mind taking a pay
Joe,
cut?"
Joe,
But in football, that's what these guys are
it's
asked
it's
to
it's
do.
it's dirty. It's dirty.
Yeah, it is. It's a big sacrifice, and it sucks, man. But D Law did it. So would Zeke want to be? Would he want to do that? And if you do, I mean, I think that's good. I think that's
If you
good.
don't, you got to
Yeah,
move on.
yeah, definitely. And there's going to be some good backs in this draft.
Ooh. Listen, I've been on Blake Corum for a while, Joe.
Yep, a good
He's
one.
my guy. He's definitely one of those guys. Listen, guys, we're at the 25-minute mark. We thank you guys so much. We covered a lot today, Joe. We wanted to keep this one short. First of all, happy holidays. There's so much going on in the world. Every day is something. So make sure that you guys love on your loved ones. Make sure you guys show people love. Tomorrow, we are going to beat the turkey out of the Giants. Joe, do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think it's just let's make another statement game in the division, and put everybody on notice. We want to be that team that's I don't want to face those guys, right? I think
Yeah.
right now you're looking at the way San Francisco's playing. You're like, man, I don't want to play them. I don't want to play Debo. I want to be in that realm, that breath, right? Like
Yeah.
teams are going to be scared of us. So let's put a statement game together. Shout out to everybody in the chat box, man.
Yeah.
I
Shout
hope
out to
all you
y'all,
guys,
chat box. We see you guys.
yeah, everybody out here. Thank you for tuning in, and happy Thanksgiving to all you guys out there. Really do appreciate you tuning in tonight.
Yes, listen. Thank you guys so much. Danny, I see you talking about Bijan Robinson. I think he will probably be out of our wheelhouse. We're probably second, third round for a back. But listen, we got plenty of time for draft talk. I've been hitting it. Me and Joe that's what we do. So get ready. I remember when me and Joe covered Tony Pollard after the Senior Bowl.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm gonna go back and find the show where I think me and Joe talked about TP, and I said, "Hey, Joe, I had this guy as more of a scat guy. Then I'm watching him run between the tackles, and then fast forward to now, and he's a load between the tackles as well as can catch the ball. So to me, Joe, when we get together, it's just awesome. We got to do this again. Thank you guys so much for joining. Dallas is going to beat the snot out of these peoples. Just let's play mistake-free football. Let's get out of there injury-free. You guys enjoy your family. Kiss them, hug them. It's your boy Foots. Thank you for coming on, Joe. You guys can find Joe at Cowboys Blog, Cat Mode. You guys see the background. He got the turf. He's doing it. What else can we say? Thank you, chat box. We see everybody. We appreciate all you guys. Much love. Peace.